What's up guys, it's the Game Bro. We're gonna do something new, do something a little bit different. We're gonna start looking at some F1 cars over the history of time. And what better way to start than the Williams FW14B and the mustache himself, Nigel Mansel. It's the end of the 1990 season. Ayrton Senna wins his second Drivers' Championship in controversial fashion, and McLaren wrap up another Constructors title over Ferrari and Benetton. Meanwhile, back at a factory in Grove, a newly acquired Adrian Newey would begin to put pen to paper on a revolutionary new car for Williams, the FW14. The 1991 season would see the return of Nigel Mansel and his mustache to the team, talked out of retirement to partner Riccardo Patrese. To advance for its own good, reliability issues would prevent the FW14 from winning either titles, but it was clearly the quickest car on the grid. Enter the FW14B. Designed by Patrick Head, Adrian Newey, some computer geek named Paddy Lowe, and Egbal Hamidi, the FW14B was powered by the Renault RS4 3.5-liter V10. That has rumored power figures of around 750 horsepower, which was best on the grid. The semi-automatic 6-speed gearbox had all the kinks worked out, but the real party trick here is the electronics and active suspension. Traction control and even ABS for the time were nice, but active suspension inspired by an ambulance is what sets the B-Spec car apart from the year prior. Mansell, who had experience with active suspension in the late 80s, was the perfect choice to pilot the 14B, as his aggressive driving style was perfectly suited, where Patrese, like Prost the following year, would struggle to adapt. The active setup allowed for ride height to be adjusted in the corners and on the straights, maintaining perfect clearance to maximize aerodynamic efficiency. During testing, it was found that the passive car had better top-end speed due to the ride height compression stalling out the rear in a similar way to one of this year's many Mercedes controversies. There's a button that was used to change the ride height on the straights, now boosting straight line speed by about 10 kilometers, stalling the airflow over the rear of the floor, acting like an early version of DRS. The traction control worried Renault engineers, as it caused reliability concerns as the system cut cylinders when wheel spin was detected. Testing duties were carried out by future world champion Damon Hill, who had amassed a ton of mileage by preseason testing. So how would the 14B fare, and most importantly, how would it match up against Senna and the McLaren MP47? Let's take a quick look. The first race of the 1992 F1 World Championship was held at Kylarmi for the South African Grand Prix, and after qualifying, it was pretty apparent right away how the year would shake out, as Mansell would take pole over Senna by 3/4 of a second, and more impressive, a second and a half over teammate Patrese. The race would see Mansell take an easy win and a Williams 1-2. Mansell would go on to win the first 5 races of the season, a record only to be tied by Schumacher in 04 after an intense duel with Senna in Monaco. Mansell would win 3 straight in rounds 8 to 10 and add another victory at round 14 in the Portuguese Grand Prix, with Patrese winning the Japanese Grand Prix. Mansell would have the driver's title wrapped up by round 11 after the Hungarian Grand Prix, and Williams would dominate the constructors, beating McLaren by 65 points, who were fighting more with the young German in the Benetton. Mansell took pole position in a disgusting 14 of 16 races, with Patrese saying "me too" in Hungary, giving the FW14B 15 of 16 poles that year. Mansell's 9 wins would be a record that again would only be equaled and not beaten until a decade later by a young dude who only got a ride because Bertrand Gachot hated cabbies. Patrase's Japanese win gave the 14B 10 total wins, and also the car would see 11 fastest laps. Shit. Mansell's record of finishing first and second in all but 4 races he retired from is an insane stat and just proves how dominant the car was. Patrese would also hold on to second in the drivers over Schumacher, Senna, and Berger, albeit with half the points of Mansell, who would retire and go on to America to win the 93 kart title, being both series champions for a brief period. Prost would sign for 93 after being shit-canned from Ferrari and sitting out a year, blocking a Senna move that he so desired. The succeeding FW15C would go on to dominate in 93 and be responsible for the ban of active suspension and driver aids for 94, as well as being the most advanced car in the history of Formula 1. But when you think of the most iconic Williams and cars of the time, it's the FW14B. Why? The FW14B was the car to end the McLaren dominance of previous years, but was the car to give Mansell his first world championship after so many close encounters, also sparking a desire for Senna to want to drive at Williams, starting his questionable McLaren race-to-race handshake-like contracts before signing in 94, but it's a story for another time. Anyway guys, hope you liked the vid. That's been a short history of the FW14B. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that fucking bell button for all my notifications, and if you want me to do more of these videos. Have a great week everyone. I've been the Game Bro, and I am out.